What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Maverick Man 101. Got a video for us today from Sugar Tits. Female-only sports bar goes out of business in only 5 months. Let's go.
First ever women's sports bar in Australia closes after 5 months. We couldn't hold on any longer. No shit. Poor bitches. A women's sports bar opened with much fanfare and enthusiasm, but just a few months later, it's had no choice but to call last drinks. The first women's sports bar to open in Australia has closed down just a few months after launching with much fanfare.
I'm on Sydney's iconic Oxford Street. I'm outside a bar that's unlike anywhere I've ever been. Let's check it out. The Ladies League exclusively shows women's sport on its TVs. They've got the Matildas, NRLW, AFLW, basically any sport that ends in W.
The Ladies League opened at a prime spot in Sydney's bustling Oxford Street in August, but unfortunately announced its closure soon afterwards on New Year's Day. On New Year's Day! That's like the busiest fucking time of the year. How shithouse must this business have been to have closed on New Year's Day? They even had all of the holidays. It's summer down here. People want to be out and about. And they closed down mid-summer. And we're Aussies. We love a good fucking drink. Even if it comes with a side of box watching and rug munching. Put a beer in front of us and we're there. The atmosphere in this place must have been so virtue signal toxic that a lesbian would rather eat a cock-flavored lollipop than drink a beer there. Actually, something tells me that place was packed full of lesbians on the odd occasion when it did have a crowd.
Let's check it out.
The venue posted on social media on Wednesday night that it was with a heavy heart they would not be opening their doors again. As a women's sports bar... Oh no, that's probably not right. It's probably more like, as a women's sports bar, we excelled. That's the butcher's voice I can muster up for you. The Ladies League wrote, adding that they had great turnouts at Matilda's Sydney FC and Grand Final games. That's the women's Olympic soccer team. And I don't know why everyone made such a fuss over this team during the women's soccer Grand Final down here in Australia. They praised them like they were the goddesses of soccer balls, but they came fucking third. Unfortunately, it is outside of live games that we felt the struggle, as much as many other hospitality venues in this economic climate.
I mean, no, right? I think I know they have some here in the States, right? I've heard of them. I've never been to one, but I've heard of them. These all-female sports bars, right? Where they just only show women's sports, right? Which, hey, good for you. But I just find that to be incredibly off-putting, if you will, right? Because here's the thing. Even if you go to some of the major bars in America, some of those franchises, right? Like Buffalo Wild Wings or, I don't know, I guess maybe like an Applebee's or something like that. They still, from time to time, will show women's sports, right? They'll show, women's tennis. They'll show women's college basketball. Definitely when Caitlin Clark was playing, they had her games on, right? But when those big marquee games are on, the Super Bowl, football, college football playoffs, things like that, those games take precedence because they are better products. They produce more money. They produce more output, right? It's as simple as that, right? And so I think having a female-only sports bar, I mean, hey, look, good for you, right? But the thing is, though, majority of women are just not going to support women's sports. It's just not what it is. I think Bill Burr did a really good joke about that, about how women will watch and support drama and nonsense like the Kardashians instead of watching the women's sport. And it's true. It's true.
Yeah. It was the economic climate that stifled you. I'm not saying it's great at the moment. Yeah, it's shit. But when you come up with the most moronic idea of catering to something that would only appeal to a tiny little fraction of the population in creating a business that only shows women's sports, you're shooting yourself in the dick, or the vag, if you will. We knew we had a fantastic product on offer.
I don't know about that.
The delusion. But unfortunately, as a small business, we couldn't hold on any longer to try any new approaches. Maybe like showing some blokes playing sports. That would have been a good start. I mean, you'd have to compete with all the already established sports bars around the area that promise environments free from irritating, virtue signaling, inclusion, yay, vegan-esque fucktard types. I mean, this place, it just sounds like the worst place ever to want to have a beer, to want to try and sit down, relax, and have a beer. The Ladies' League was founded and run by 34-year-old Rose Valenti, who...
Of course it is. I mean, ma'am, what sport does she play? I mean, or coach? It's always the ones that look like this, man. But hey, shout out to her. I do feel like this, it was just a bad business idea. It's bad. And I don't know the economic climate in Australia. It's a bad business. It's a bad business idea. It just shouldn't be, right? Drunk women in a bar watching women's sports. I mean, yeah, for the women who like kisses down low, yeah, that might be cool for them, I guess. Have you a nice little spot to chill. But as an overall business idea, it's trash. It's absolutely trash. It's trash. And I'm sure somebody in the comments will be like, oh, well, there's one in America that's doing pretty well. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Also runs a digital-only sports publication with the same name.
Hi, I'm Rose Valenti. I am the founder of the Ladies' League, and welcome. I love the women's sport community, and the further I got more into the women's sport community specifically, and the more I learnt about it, I knew there was a demand for something like this. LOL! You go to a bar, pub, anything. It's hard enough to even watch the A-League men's. Never mind if you ask them, hi, can I watch the A-League women's?
You don't mind me being here, do you?
I do.
And they've got absolutely no idea what channel that's on.
Miss Valenti told media she drained her savings and even sold her investment property to fund the bar. Oh my God.
No.
This is why they didn't let a bitch have control of money back in the day. What a phenomenally stupid idea to sink all your money into this business, into this kind of incredibly unpopular business. I mean, it's so specific. It's like, I'm going to put all my money into a business that makes bras for men, or a social app for women where they can take pictures of their shits and send them around to all their friends. It's just a batshit crazy, unpopular idea. She scored a prime spot in the heart of Darlinghurst at a 2-story, 80-seat venue, which she decorated with a black and pink colour scheme. Banks weren't keen on extending her a loan.
What?
No, they fucking weren't.
Wait, hold on. What did it say? Banks weren't keen on extending her a loan. Miss Valenti, whatever, has previously said they found the venture too risky, but she managed to fundraise from her loyal base of readers and others keen to blah, blah, blah. Well, hey, the bank said no and she kept going. It's just, look, people getting their feelings with this thing, even men getting their feelings about this, right? And I mean, look, if you got daughters that play sports and all this other stuff, just tell her that it's a high probability her sport ain't making no money. It is what it is. I mean, look, that year that LSU and Angel Reese won the national championship, whenever it was, a few years ago, I think a lot of people in their mind was like, hey, look, that team's better, right? That team's better, so they're automatically more valuable. No. They actually lost money that year. Meanwhile, the LSU football team, who I don't think they didn't make the college football national playoff that year, but they still brought in an excess of $20 million. I mean, what are we talking about here? This is nonsense.
Her alone. No, they fucking weren't.
Well, maybe if I asked to borrow a bit less, I don't know.
Computer says no.
Miss Miss Valente has previously said they found the venture too risky. And you didn't listen to them, did you, love? The banks were fucking outright telling you, this is a retarded idea, bitch. Don't do it. And you still ignored them, the money professionals. But she managed to fundraise from her loyal base of readers and others keen on the novel concept. Idiots. Hundreds of fans spent money on foundation memberships to get their names written on one of the upstairs walls, and at the same time other fans sponsored particular areas of the bar, tables, benches, and even toilet cubicles. Oh, well, that's wonderful. You get to see your name written on a toilet cubicle while you're busy starting a scissor fire with some other lazy bitch, taking respite from all that scintillating chicks water polo. The plan was to show live women's sport matches and in the quiet periods display replays of women's games. Replays of women's games.
Replays.
Oh my god. I love sports, okay? I watch a lot of sports for a chick. Right now it's tennis season here in Australia and I'm watching the Australian Open. And I've got nothing against the chicks playing, but I would rather watch the men playing tennis because I feel like when I switch over the channel to the chicks playing, it's like watching a watered down version of the dudes playing. It's like slower, less athletic, less powerful. Essentially, it's like the diet beer of sports. I'm like, why the fuck am I drinking this when I could be having the full strength shit? I didn't crack open a can of beer to get slightly wasted. Men were also welcome to the pub, but for some bloody reason none of them wanted to show up. And Miss Valente said she was open to showing a men's game if that was what her patrons wanted. That's what all sports patrons want.
Yeah, my point exactly, right? Like if you go to any other bar, they're showing men's sports, even if the teams are terrible, simply because the competition, the athleticism is better. Even on some of the teams who are trash, right? The level of competition is better. It's like when you see all these videos of like a U17 soccer team playing a women's national professional team and the women's team gets smoked by a bunch of high school kids. I just don't understand this like argument behind it. I mean, look, hey, I coach. I'm in that business. I get it. I understand it. I'm not mad. But I think that any other business proposal where the product may not be as good as another product, people understand that. But when it comes to men and women's sports, people can't see that. And shout out to Caitlin Clark, man. I ain't mad at it, but I mean, I don't care how many threes she make. I ain't watching the WNBA on a Tuesday night. It ain't gonna happen. I ain't watching the NBA on a Tuesday night sometimes. I mean, let's just keep it real. It is what it is.
Crazy bitch! The venue boasted 6 TVs and 1 big screen with a bar section downstairs and a viewing lounge upstairs for the rowdier customers. A lot of finger popping and scissoring going up in there, I'll tell you what. Miss Valente's The Ladies League was partly inspired by Australia's deficit in women's sport viewing and coverage, which accounts for only 12 to 15% of screen time, according to the latest research. And you thought it would be a good idea to invest all your money into a business that caters to the tiny little 12 to 15%. Now, apparently she thought this was going to be a great idea because there are other businesses like this in the world. There's one in Portland, Oregon. There's one in California, of course. One in Ireland. There are at least 3 other places like this in the world. Why couldn't she do it? The Sports Bra, oh my god, opened in Portland, Oregon and made $1 million in revenue in its first year of operation, also sparking other similar venues to pop up around the country. Tell me, does Portland, Oregon have a lot of lesbians? Is that a big lesbian town?
In Portland, Oregon, people aren't afraid to try things, like opening a sports bar that exclusively plays women's sports.
I built it and they came.
If you want to try something too, try something Portland.
Australians were excited at the prospect of the bar, with social media buzz and many vowing to travel from neighbouring states to check it out. Bullshit. It's a gimmick, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like going to a theme park that's just opened up. Everyone's all excited.
It's a gimmick that didn't work, right? And a good thing for that one in Portland that's doing pretty well. Good for her. It's just, who cares, ma'am? Like, And that's another thing, right? About just being in a bar and women watching sports like men. It's just not cute. Let me tell you something, man. I was in the Philly area a little bit after the Eagles won a Super Bowl, and just seeing women drunk and belligerent over football. Man. Disastrous.
Excited, and they're like, oh wow, that's new and different, I'm gonna go check that out, and then they never fucking come back because they've experienced it once. That's what your bar was, a gimmick. Others predicted that it would give way and become a full-blown LGBTQ bar given its location on the Oxford Street strip.
Might be a women's only sports bar, but anyone can come.
We're only showing women's sports, so if you like women's sports, you come here, you can watch it. Straight, lesbian, bi, whatever you are. If you're a woman, if you're trans, if you're a man, you can still come here and you can still enjoy the game.
Oh, okay, so she actually did put this bar in an area where it should have had some success. That just goes to show how shithouse of an idea this was. When even the butchy lesers don't want to come to your bar to watch chicks playing football or ping pong, they can watch ping pong shows from the comfort of their own bedrooms. That just tells you how bad of an idea this was.
Women's sport is more popular than ever in Australia, and this is the first permanent spot to enjoy it.
The Ladies League wants others to carry on the mantle and doesn't want its experience to put others off. Nah, I think people might prefer not losing all their money. We hope this doesn't discourage anyone from opening a similar concept in the future. The support we felt from the community was amazing, the bar wrote. Not enough support to keep you open. Thank you each and everyone who has visited us or showed support online. And there you go. 5 months. They were open for 5 months before they had to shut down. Crazy. Well, thank you all for watching. Remember to check me out on...
Hey man, shout out to Sugar Tits for this video. Ma'am, you know, hey, you know, maybe I don't know. Anyhow, but it's always women like this. My last piece of advice, ma'am, if you want to open up a sports bar and only show women's sports, show like softball or volleyball. You probably have a ton of men in there watching at that point. But like soccer, basketball, I don't know what to tell you, man. Show gymnastics, softball, and volleyball, and your bar might have been fine. But she wanted to do what she wanted to do, and it didn't work. But shout out to Sugar Tits for this video. Guys, I think we are going to leave it there for now. My goodness. Until next time, eat well, sleep well, be well. I'll catch up with you guys later. Peace.